Thank you, Ben. On a lighter note, where's Graham at? Congratulations. Okay, on your wedding. Just from opening remarks, I think opening game every year is a starting point for everybody, and there's no difference here this year. It's going into our 10th year. Make no mistake about it. We are the reigning Big Ten champions, and we need to defend that as we move through the process as we go through this. But I think every opening game's got to have great attention to detail. Got to play with enthusiasm. Got to play with great effort. Get a chance to see where everybody's at, young players, older players. And so it's an exciting opportunity for everybody to move forward. Exciting for the fans as well as we move forward here. Furman comes into the football game. They played in big games before. This is the first time they played in the Big Ten conference itself. Having played at South Carolina, I'm very, very familiar with Furman University. Outstanding university. Coach Fowler's in his 6th year now. So when you're in year number 6, you have a tendency to critique things, have concepts in place, and you have your program in place. So it's not like they're guessing for things. They know what works. They know what does not work. They've got new personnel just like we do, but they also have a lot of players returning. Their entire front is returning. Great safety in Robinson. Linebacker Ryder is returning as well. 2 quarterbacks with experience. One's a 3-year captain. Lose a little bit as an offensive backfield, but their offensive line is intact. So we're looking for a great football game. And again, I think the main focus has to be for our football team is this is a starting point as we move forward here. So with that being said, I'll just take some questions and we'll go from there.
Mark, Reese Hammond, he's a 4-year captain, their starting quarterback. I was interviewing him on a radio show the other day, and he mentioned that when they were recruiting him to Furman, they sent him Kirk Cousins' Big Ten speech and said, we think you're a lot like this guy, faith off the field, the kind of quarterback he was. And he talked about getting able to, because he looks up to Kirk now, to be able to come play in his stadium. What does it say about the program you've established now that, they're using your players to recruit guys at other schools?
Well, I think we have 34 players in NFL camps right now. Obviously, today is a big day for a lot of those guys, but Kirk is franchise player for the Redskins. I think he's that, not just because he's a great player, but because he brings so many other things to the table as well. And, that was recognized here, and I think that's recognized across America right now. When you say the name Kirk Cousins, it speaks more about this just being a football player, and I think that that's a testament to this program and what he was able to accomplish here. But, Reese will get an opportunity to be here. It'll be exciting for him.
Mark, Kevin Williams listed as a starter at defensive tackle. What have you seen from him in camp that's allowed him to make that big of a leap up to the starter? And can you talk a little bit about what your plans is for Raekwon, bouncing back and forth between the 2 spots?
Well, I'm not ready to announce anybody as a starter either at this point. He's in the mix. He's a co-starter. Whether he starts or whether one of those other 2 guys start in there is really will be determined at game time. I can just say he's had a great camp. He can play at a very high level, and he fits in our scheme. So he's going to be a good player for us, and then we'll have to see whether he does actually start the game or not start the game. But listing on a depth chart, really just we got to put somebody in there first. So we'll start from there.
Mark, I know this is kind of becoming an ongoing thing, but any update on Davis at this point going into the first week?
Paperwork's in, so waiting on the paperwork, and he'll continue to progress because he is allowed to practice. So he's progressing in terms of getting his knee right and just getting back into shape. So we'll see where that's at here. Should know something very soon.
And then I was going to ask the receivers. You have all 4 freshmen are listed somewhere on there. Are you hoping each of them might see some action this first week, or is that still kind of in there?
It's tough because when you look at freshmen, you want to make sure they're going to play, a lot of time this fall, a lot of snaps. So if you're going to put a guy in there for 1 or 2 plays and then not play him the rest of the year, I don't think that's good. So we have to make a determination as we move forward. So I don't anticipate those guys playing if we're way ahead, unless we're going to play him the rest of the year, and I can't say that. Donnie Corley's going to play. The other 3 we'll see what happens. They may play, they may not, but we're going to see how that all shakes out as we move forward here. Probably this game, maybe next.
Mark, any separation late in camp with your three running backs, or are you still looking at those three kind of on equal footing going?
I think all three of those guys have have the opportunity to be great players, and we got to give them the opportunity to be the guy. So there may be a little bit of separations relative to the different scrimmages that we've had, but overall, I'd say we'll play any of them or all three of them, or any one of them. So we'll go with the hot hand as we always do, and see who's playing the best in that particular moment.
Mark, going off the playing time questions, with the unusual circumstances that you have a bye immediately after this game, are you going to try to play a few more guys who you might want to see play in South Bend come 2 weeks, or just go business as usual and let practice figure it out?
Well, first thing that we're going to do is compete versus Furman. And they'll come in here and play up. There's no question about that. That's natural. They did that last year against Virginia Tech. I was very impressed on how they handled that football game, especially early in the game. So that's the number one focus. And then the second thing becomes, as we move through the process, which I guess I'm always saying that these days, according to my players. But as we go through this, then we'll figure out who we're going to play and get ready for Notre Dame. But we have a week in between there, so it's a little bit abnormal in terms of what we're going through there. But I think it can help us as we move it forward.
With Delton Williams and Prescott Line at fullback, how have they progressed throughout camp leading up to the first game? And is that kind of a situation where they both bring different skill sets to the table?
They bring different skill sets. Delton is still sort of getting back into shape as being a fullback. He's really a fourth tailback, really. So he can run the football. There's no question about that. And then Prescott is learning because he just got here. So both of those guys are sort of in that mode of transitioning, I would say, to their relative new positions. So it'll be determined on who's playing the best, and I would anticipate both playing a little bit, but we'll see. Delton's been nicked up a little bit.
Mark, 10 years now at this job. Wow. How does this team remind you of any of the other teams that you've had in the past?
Tough to say because we make those comparisons really at the end of the season. I think right now, you're looking at our football team and saying, this is a starting point. This is where we're at. We just elected captains. There's a lot of enthusiasm, I think, to where we're going with this football team, but it remains to be seen how we come out on the back end. And I think that's where you start to compare things on the back end. But I can say that we have a very strong senior class. It's a big senior class. And so usually when you have your senior class sitting there like that, if they have their best year, and it's large, you're going to have a great football season. And that's what we've always tried to do. These guys that are seniors this year, you got to remember, even going back to if Ed's playing, and I'm going to anticipate him playing, and Brandon Clemens, they've won 54 games since they've come here. They won over half the games that I've won as a head coach. So they've been in a lot of big-time situations. They've been in 3 Big Ten championship games. The rest of our guys have won a lot of football games as well, 36 or whatever it is, or 40, 43. So there's a lot of guys coming back with a lot of positive experience, but that needs to transition now to 2016 season. I do think we have good leadership. And I think it's strong leadership, and it's coming from more than just one person, which is a positive.
What's your message to Tyler as he gets ready to kind of run the show here for game week? And is it rewarding to see his patience over the past few years paying off with the captainship and starting and all that stuff?
Yeah, I read the articles on him and talking about his past and everything. And, it says a lot about him, first of all, as a person and his diligence and him looking at the big picture of things. He's had a great camp. Nobody's dislodged him. He's thrown the ball very effectively with knowing where to go with the ball, and I think his arm strength is very, very good. He's got the ability to move in the pocket and run around. He's got great leadership qualities, and he understands our offense very, very well. Scale of 1 to 10, probably 10. So I think everything's in order for him. My message to him is be yourself, understand there's going to be criticism, and just if you make a mistake, go at it 100% and bounce back from it. It's tough being a quarterback at any level, especially at this level in football, because you get a lot of criticism, much of it people that don't understand the nuances of what he's going through. So, he's got to roll with it a little bit, but he'll be fine. He's a competitor, and he's prepared himself for this moment, and he's got a great supporting cast around him.
Mark, going back to the question of this being your 10th year, looking back, is it still the same feeling going into this week as it was 10 years ago, or is there more confidence now knowing what your team has accomplished?
Yeah, it's a good question because, you really never know. I think it's coming in. I think back to 2007 a little bit, and you're wondering, okay, first of all, can I think back that far? But you really didn't know what you were getting in 2007. You had on the field for the first time with so many of your players. How were they going to react? I remember we won convincingly, I think 52-3, and we had 3 penalties in that football game. So obviously there was great focus, great execution on what we were able to accomplish, and great emotion and great enthusiasm, and we sort of took off. We went 4-0 the first 4 games. So that started well. 2016, I think we know what our players are capable of more because they've been in a lot of big situations and played in a lot of big games. But how they're going to play together at this point in time, you never really know. I understand there's going to be mistakes. We want to make those mistakes going full speed.
Mark, you talk about defending your Big Ten championship. With the veterans that you lost and the new guys coming in, did you feel a need to change the tone for this camp compared to past years, or to tailor it to the personnel that, to get their minds right?
We're always trying to critique what we do, so we look at every camp and say, how can it be different? What can we do differently? Time on the field, 2-a-days, 1-a-days, how much lifting we do, all these different things. So we're trying to always critique it and make it better. And that's where our focus is at, really, a little bit. In terms of, we have I think we have a great freshman class. So we've got to get those guys up to speed, and those guys have to adapt to all the different periods that we go through relative to fall camp. The first part of installation, the second part that you go through, and you should know a little bit what to do in scrimmaging. Now this next part of going to school and playing games, and whether they're on the scout team or whether they're not, that type of thing. So there's a lot going on with those guys. So we're just trying to manage the situation. We're going to push our guys, and it's never going to be real warm and fuzzy out there. We want to make them uncomfortable. We want to push them and take them to places they've never been. And to do that, you got to provide growth away from the game and in practice as well. And so that's really what we're trying to always accomplish here, provide growth.
Mark, with the quarterbacks, do you have any specific plans to get the backups in this week, or do you sort of have to wait and see how the game unfolds?
We'll see how it all unfolds and sort of go from there. But Tyler's the starter, and he's going into the game with all the plays right now.
Mark, your home schedule is stacked in the situation to allow you to have a lot of venues for nationwide recruits to attend. Can you just talk about having these home games can allow you to have, be able to host the recruits that you're able to host?
Yeah, we've got a lot of home games coming up here that are, marquee games. There's no question about that. High-profile games. So that's going to be exciting for our guys to come, to a lot of recruits to come and be at that event. And no different than it's been in the past, whether it's been the Oregon game or last year's games, whoever was in here playing big games. But I think that's sort of natural. So I think it's a positive. It's an advantage for us. They'll be able to see us up close and personal. Game day.
Talking a little bit off the field, but listening to your players talk about Viante, I've heard everything from a true gentleman to a thumper. So those are some unique terms. What is it about Viante? We know what he can do on the field, but off the field that so many of your players just really credit him as a good person.
Yeah, I think Deontay Copeland is a guy that he turns it up on game day farther than practice. And then he also turns it up when he's at practice. But he has that next level when he goes to game day. And then, off the field, he's a guy that's going to help you. He's quiet. He's introverted. He just wants to go about his business and try and accomplish other things in life as well. And he takes a very mature outlook. And I think he's extremely disciplined and mature, which is what I've always said. Hey, if you're a disciplined and mature person, you can go a long ways with just that, let alone great ability. And he'll be a feature guy for us.
Hey, Mark, can you just address with knocking heads for whatever it's been 6 weeks, and for the returning guys, the last time they were on the field, it wasn't a very good feeling. Can you assess the anxiousness they'll feel Friday night when you kind of let the lion out of the cage for the opener?
Yeah. I've got guys that stand up there and talk about the first game that they ran out, even though they never played in that game. They remember that first opportunity running out of Spartan Stadium, Spartan Tunnel at Spartan Stadium, and how meaningful that was to them. So there's going to be a lot of that. You're going to have guys playing in their first game of their last year. You're going to have guys playing in their first game with meaningful minutes on the field. So there's a lot of different things going on, a lot of different dynamics, I think, going on in our football team with firsts for a lot of people. So that makes it exciting. That brings enthusiasm to everybody. And should be a great event, great night for our guys. And, it's all on how you play, though. You have to play well to be able to feel that at the end of the game. And so we're looking forward to that. But I would say, we've practiced through spring ball, going against each other. We've gone through fall camp. And, when you add up all those weeks, you're right. We haven't played anybody since last January, and that didn't end too well, or December 31st. But prior to that, we had a lot of success. And so we'll point towards that and try and recreate that atmosphere.
Mark, on the offensive line, obviously the attrition that you had with the 3 guys going to the NFL, where do you feel you're at depth-wise right now, numbers-wise, and what kind of things do you want to see from them in this game?
Yeah, we've readdressed their depth issue. We've got a lot of good players up there, younger players, that where they're at day one right now will not be where they're at 6 weeks from now. And that's the mindset we have to take with some of our younger players. Josh King, Austin Robertson. I think Panasuk, Mike, has put himself in a position where he will play on Friday night. I don't think there's any question he will play. So he's put himself in that situation. But other guys, do we redshirt them, do we not? We have to wait and see possibly, but we may play them. So I just really can't say on that. But I do know they're very, very good football players, and it'll be exciting to watch those guys as they mature. You've got some guys in there like Malik McDowell and Demetrius Cooper who have been there and done that. And then, Evan Jones is a guy that has had meaningful minutes last year, so he's coming back as being a starter. So you've got different guys. You've got Raekwon Williams out there for the first time, even though he feels like he's been a starter here for a year because he started since the spring. But he'll have his first start, and, it'll be under the lights, and things will start to move faster. And so it is, it's a learning experience. So all these different things are happening. Kevin Williams coming out there and playing for the first time as a Spartan. Gabe Sherrard, same thing. But we've got a lot of players that will play at the defensive front position, and I think they can be very good.
Sorry, I meant on the offensive line.
Oh, there you go.
But great information and insight, though.
Yeah. Well, same thing. You want me to go through that all again?
Well, just with the numbers you have, I know you want to get to somewhere around 8 or 9.
Yeah, we'll play 8 or 9 guys, but I think we have our 5 plus 6 plus Benny. McGowan's in there. Whether he'll start or not will be determined at game time, but we're solid in there. We're solid, and we've got some younger players coming as well. More redshirt freshman type of guys or those type of things, situations.
Mark, can you kind of talk about what Demetrius brings for you as a captain, both obviously on the field and what he does, behind the scenes that we don't get to see?
Day has gone through, like so many of our players, they've gone through through a course of time really. Redshirted, traveled though, started to almost play in mid-season in 2012, but redshirted. Next year, special teams. Next year, a little bit more as a starter or a nickel guy. I think as a redshirt sophomore, he was our nickel guy, but he saw some meaningful snaps on the field. Last year, starter, various positions. So now this year comes as a captain, and again, will play a lot of football for us. But so he's played on all the special teams. I think on kickoff, I think on kickoff return, I think on our Rangers team, and I think on our punt team. He's played, I think 3 positions in the secondary. He's been on the scout team in the past, so he sort of sees the whole picture, I think, for our football team, everything that a young person is going to experience from day one through his senior year. And I think that brings a great deal of credibility to his position. It's not like he just came in there and, he's a good player, let's make him a captain. He's seen it from the top and the bottom, and I think that's what makes a great captain, guys who can have a little bit of empathy for the guys that are going through some of the other more difficult things right now in a program.
I think this will be the last FCS team you guys play based on the Big Ten rules. Are you disappointed to see those games go away for the Big Ten?
No, we just play. I just look and see who are we playing against, and we line them up. But I know this that Furman will come here with the intentions to win. Everybody always does. That's the way this game is played. And I also have a great deal of respect for them, as I said earlier, because of my background in the Carolinas. There, they've played against those type of people, and even though they're in the Southern Conference, they bring a MAC type credibility with them to me, which I watch MAC teams every year rise up and beat people.
You think it hurts those programs not to have opportunities come up and play teams like this?
I can't answer that. From a financial standpoint, it may be a problem for them, but just play who they put out there.
Mark, you've got Darrell Stewart as a possible kick returner here, and what does he bring in the knack for that position? What are you trying to decide there with him and RJ? And obviously, you're very comfortable with RJ.
Yeah, it's just another opportunity to give a guy. He's a redshirt freshman. He's been an exciting player for us last year. So this is another guy that's going to play a lot of football for us, and an opportunity to put him in a position where he can make plays. Whether he is that guy back there or not will be determined by a lot of other things. But he has the ability, and he's shown an ability to make plays at that position.
With every recruit that you go after, obviously there's different skills, different strengths, weaknesses, that kind of thing. But is there an intangible that you try to go after?
Yeah, I think everybody's always looking for the intangibles. It really makes the player, probably makes that individual or drives that individual down. When you come to a place like this, there's going to be great competition in practice every day. And everybody comes in here with the same kind of rep. Whether you're a 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, 2-star, they expect to play, and they've been ultra successful at the high school level. So when they come in, a lot of the things that what made Daquez Denard a great player was it his ability, or was his work ethic, his attention to detail, his discipline. He's got the skill level, but all those other things. What made Kirk Cousins a great player? Same type of things could be said. So I think you're always looking for that person that can make other people around you better. We're always looking for those people that will impact others, and that's the challenge, because we do tend to look at things through a straw. But the challenge is, how can I impact everybody around me as a football player? That's good. Thanks.